Hi guys, and welcome to the most anticipated video when we first heard about the Lian O11 Dynamic Mini. Now here we finally have it up for review, and this is definitely going to be interesting. Well, for me interesting so much that I'm going to do a separated time-lapse video just for this with a full custom loop. But today we're going to extend the video a bit and break down everything there is to know about the O11 Dynamic Mini. So stay tuned, because after the intro we're going to go into loads of details. Taking apart the O11 Dynamic Mini is basically the same as O11 Dynamic. You just untie the screws at the back and remove the top side. As you can see, it has a bunch of holes which give you the ability to have airflow from the top radiator, which can fit up to 360 millimeters. Now this is really cool, and you have also the magnetic dust filter, which covers the top part from dust. Now before we go more into details, I would like to get rid of this box right here. So this is the accessory box. You have the redefined modularity, without a doubt, installation guide, and all the details you need to know when it comes to the back side, front side, vertical mount, and everything else. Now the case is packed with loads of stuff, and this is why we're going to break it down into loads of details. First of all, you have the pump bracket, which is, I would say, modular, because with the sliders here you can actually adjust the pump as you wish, getting those bends very nice and elegant and having those straight lines. Next we have also another pump bracket which will help you with the modularity. As they said, you can adjust anything anywhere in this case, and here it is. This is the small pump bracket that you can adjust most likely on the side, and here we have additional bracket which we will get to it later on. There we go. Now here we have two additional covers that are used for the back side. I will talk about these later on. And you have the, I would say, an extender for your standoffs if you decide to go with the ATX motherboard. You just attach it with 4 screws on the side part next to the motherboard where your 24 pin is, and basically you have 3 more standoffs for your ATX board. Now we also have here loads of screws and another pump bracket, standoffs, motherboard screws, thumb screws, and zip ties. So as you can see in the accessory box, it's not only screws and zip ties. You have loads of brackets for your pumps, additional mounting positions, ATX standoff positions, and all the other stuff. So let's go into the interior. So removing the glass panels, as well as on O11 Dynamic, you just slide them up. You have both sides with foil, so you can have the pleasure of removing it when you're done with the build. And the front part as well. Really nice how they designed removing the panels. Without a doubt, this is something fairly easy to do. And when you take a look at the case from this side, the interior gives you loads of possibilities, and I know I already mentioned that, but 360 radiator on top, 360 radiator on bottom, and 280 radiator on the side if you go with the micro ATX or mini ATX or ATX board. You can also go with the 240 radiator, which kind of gives you more clearance for the cables, because when you place the extension for the ATX, you can see that you cover up the holes for your cables, but still you have enough routing to pull the 24 pin and still have the possibility to mount the 280 radiator, and I think you can squeeze the 24 pin without any issues. Now the bottom part can also accommodate 280 radiator, but this will basically give you more space for the pump if you don't decide to go with, for instance, FLT 240 right here on the side and giving you a chimney effect basically from the bottom to the top. So 3 120mm fans here, 2 140mm fans right here on the side, and 3 120 on the top. As well, you can place 120 at the rear, so giving you loads of fan possibilities here in this case. Talking about the back side, we're going to skip all the modularity for now and going to go with the back side. So at the back you have two openings right here. The first opening is the ventilation for your side radiator or fans, depending on what you use. If you go with just with fans, then it's okay. If you go with radiator and fans, still okay, you have a ventilation over there. This right here, ventilation, is designed for your power supply, so you could basically go with two power supplies, or you could go with one on top or one at the bottom, and still rearrange the hard drive cage as you wish. So basically, removing the side part, you can access the two hard drive cages. So let me just untie this. And when you access the backside, you get two additional dust filters, so they magnetically also attach to the side part, and this will give you less dust inside your case when it comes to this part and this part right here. As you can see, this is the hard drive cage, and you can easily pull out two hard drive brackets for your 3.5-inch hard drives or two 2.5-inch SSDs. Basically, yeah, that's quite alright. And in addition to that, you can place right here two additional 2.5-inch SSDs. The side mounting, the middle one, is attached to the case with the top thumb screw, and you have one here at the bottom. So removing the bottom screw and untying the top thumb screw, you get the access completely to the back side. And this is really cool just because you can rearrange the cables easily, placing the power supply up here or down at the bottom. It doesn't really matter, and then you can reroute the 24-pin, 8-pin EPS cables going to the graphic card or anything that you desire. The backside actually has loads of space, but you still need to use the SFF or SFX power supply. After all, this is a smaller case than the O11 dynamic, and you do need to go with the smaller power supply. Now here you have loads of space, and I would presume that you could go with FLT 240, but using it with a D5 pump, you do need to have a bit of a more space, so you can't place direct reservoir to the backside of the chassis. And using these standoffs, you will still get enough room to place the 360 radiator and do all the pipe work that is needed to be done. Talking about the cables that you get with the case, as you can see, you have three Velcro styles, giving you a possibility to arrange the cables nicely, and still having the HD audio, USB 3.0, USB Type-C, and of course the HDD LED power switch and the power LED, which are all located at the top. So you have one 3.5mm jack, you have one Type-C and two USB 3.0 with, of course, the power button. Now let's go to the back of the case and let me show you what is all about with their redefining modularity. Right here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 thumb screws, and basically removing those, you can adjust your back panels as you wish. It also depends if you're going with your ATX board or if you're going with the ITX board or micro ATX, it doesn't matter. But it also depends on your radiator configuration. So for instance, if you place it like this, full on top, you don't have a possibility to place a radiator at the top just because your motherboard is fully located at the top position. Now, this is it. You remove the part here, which as you can see, it's fully with 3 PCI brackets, and you get this some sort of a cover that covers the PCI brackets, and you have the same thing going right here. So basically just untying the thumb screw, you get access to everything. Talking about modularity, right? I mean, check this out. You have a full case, fully opened, and you could do really crazy stuff right here. Now, the one thing that I mentioned when we were talking about the accessory box are the covers right here. So you decide to go with 360 on top, 360 at the bottom, and something on the side. You use this cover, place it on the top, and with that cover you get exactly 5.4 centimeters of space. You can easily use the Coolstream SE360 radiator with fans, which is around 53 millimeters. Now, talking about the back panel, then you could just place this one. Of course, I'm doing this for presentation purposes. You'll have to tie up all the thumb screws to get a perfect fixture. So placing it like this, you can't place an ATX board just because you lower the part which holds actually the motherboard where your I/O ports go, but you do need to remove and replace the position of your standoffs so you can place the micro ATX or mini ITX motherboard. There are more positions, of course, so you remove again the part where your motherboard sits and you add another one of these. Fairly easy, the same way as you did with the first one, placing it right here. There we go. And then you place the motherboard part. And when you place it like this, now you have a position for your mini ITX motherboard and still have, I would say, a slight possibility to place a radiator just because the graphic card is right here on the side. And finally, in addition to everything, you also can acquire the vertical mount, which you can see already has the riser cable. You have the vertical stands for your PCI slots where you could actually tie them up with screws, and you have the possibility still to place a 120 millimeter fan, and the I/O ports go here from the motherboard. So let's check that out. You don't have to worry about thumb screws, because you already get thumb screws here, and this is really nice because you don't have to worry if you, for instance, lose some. The thing about it is when you go with the vertical mount, you can only have it with one top addition here and place it as it is. So you could go with two possibilities. You can either do it with a micro ATX board or an ATX board if you place it fully on top and removing this part. Because if you check out how to place a motherboard inside and to see if it will fit, let's place the ATX board for instance and check out if it will fit. Placing it on the lower stand with one top bracket here, you can place an ATX board. You can either go with the micro ATX or a mini ITX board for a vertical mount. If you decide to go with an ATX board with a vertical mount, you do need to remove this one. After all, I think this is all quite alright because we're talking about fairly a smaller case, and the parts where you would go usually with some radiator support and stuff like that, with an ATX board you do need a bit of a higher case after all. But taking into consideration that this case actually has loads of possibilities with modularities, I mean, look at all these parts, and having all of this placed inside with the possibility to rearrange everything and go with the motherboard that you want, then this does make a lot of sense. So basically, let's check out how it all looks when everything is placed inside. Okay guys, so basically I placed an ITX board inside since I don't have any micro ATX currently here with me, but Seasonic SFX 650 Gold with the RTX 2070 10700K, 2 RAMs since it's an ITX board. And as you can see the placement of the fans, so I placed on the side next to the motherboard two 120, at the back another 120, and at the bottom three 120 Unifan SL 120 millimeter fans, which are of course addressable RGB. At the top place a 360 radiator. For instance, here I have a 360 Galahad AIO, and it really does look nice, I have to say, but let me just show you. So everything is connected, everything works properly fine, and I'm talking about the RGB. Now the temperatures were really a shock, and in a positive way. Basically just because the GPU didn't pass 60 and the processor was somewhere around 58 to 66, so I would say 62 63 on average on AIDA 64 extreme system stability test with everything included was benchmarked. And I mean, what to say, the cool thing about it is you can check now that the backside is really nice and you still have space for two 2.5 inch SSDs. I actually removed 3.5 inch hard drive cages just because I honestly think few of you will use the hard drive cage and some of you won't, so there's a lot of space for cables. The side part, that where you actually place the side fans, it has to be clear of cables since they might tangle inside the fans, and this is quite alright because you do still have loads of space. I can't deny it, you have loads of space. The airflow is amazing. I placed the side fans as an intake, bottom fans as an intake, and the top radiator fans as an outtake, and the backside as an outtake as well. So the GPU is getting enough cold air. The last 120 is basically pushing the air that these two are pushing as well, and everything else is fairly simple. In this configuration that I managed here, you could also go with the micro ATX board just because you have loads of space here, and with this configuration, as you can see, you can place a 360 radiator on top and a 360 radiator at the bottom because you have loads of space still, and you can nicely fit a micro ATX board without having any issues. The bottom part also has a huge dust filter as well, so basically the case is outstanding. I know I already said that, but honestly, what to say more than that? Lian Li did something incredible with this case, going with full modularity and giving you possibility to arrange everything inside the case as you wish, coming from the fans, from the possibility to mount. You can even place an eATX board, but then you can forget going with a radiator on the side or FLT 240 as I showed you, because it does push up a bit if you have a D5 pump. So okay, basically what is there left to say? The modularity is really on top and first class. The design definitely perfect, no problems with the edges, final finishes magnificent, as well as on the PC O11 dynamic. And I would only give one more badge, and that is premium, because the material used here, you have a really thick metal parts, nice tempered glass, everything is so well arranged, and still after all it looks cool. So guys, thank you for watching today's video. Today Lian Li released the PC O11 dynamic mini case. You can check the links below where to buy it. And that's all there is to it. If you like the video, click the thumbs up button. Don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts on the case. And of course, subscribe for future content. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.